listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
The Oh Behave Show is brought to you by organically grown catnip from Ducky World.
Yow!
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, if dogs could talk, I mean really talk to us, what would they have to say? I mean, what's their big beef with us? And I'm not talking about sharing our T-bone steak. I mean, what are their hopes, their dreams? What gets their tails wagging in a happy motion? What aggravates them into turning the couch into confetti? Now, when you think about things, people talk about Dr. Dolittle. But by comparison, our special guest today make Dr. Dolittle just that, do little. Our guest today did more than just talk to dogs. They listened. I mean, really listened. And the results is a must-read book filled with wit, whimsy, and a lot of dogitude. The book is called Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know. 11 Courageous Canines Tell All. Now, these brave dogs are letting the cat out of the bag. They're revealing canine secrets kept for centuries. I was delighted with this book, but the book has already gotten praise from one of the top dogs in Hollywood. Comedian Steve Martin sums it up best with this quip. I laughed, my dog howled. All right, enough of my yapping. It's showtime. Let's get some special pause and applause to the awesome authors of this book. Hi, Conrad and Jeff Johnson. Hey, welcome to the show, guys.
Well, thank you, Arden. Thanks for the invitation. We're happy to be here.
All right, and the car, the check, and the trip to Australia are in the mail.
Excellent. I will wait for them.
But, you can't always depend on the post office, so no guarantees. Sorry, guys.
I'll carry your pigeon, perhaps.
Okay. All right. Now, listeners, you're in for a real treat. I mean, for the first time, you're going to learn what dogs all over the planet are yapping about when it comes to sharing a life with us two-leggers. On this special show, you're going to learn and hear about the tales of Orson, a self-proclaimed Bulldog foodie. There's Bandana, a brainy but bossy border collie, and my personal favorite, a poor mutt saddled with the foolish name Moonbeam. Okay, all this and more after we pay for the show by taking a commercial break. So I want everyone to sit and stay. We're going to be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Cats go crazy for Ducky World's catnip, especially the new cat balls. Ducky World's products are organic and they actually work. They make your cats go yow with delight. The true cat's meow is yow from Ducky World. Check out YEOWWW.com. Yow!
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. My special guests today are Hi, Conrad, and Jeff Johnson, the co-authors of a new book called Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know. 11 Courageous Canines Tell All. It's so wicked and witty and whimsical. And how's that for alliteration, you guys?
That's perfect.
All right, so let's get on with the show. Let's meet our guests. We're going to do this in alphabetical order, so there's no little going on. First up, we've got Hi, Conrad. Hi is for all you Monk and White Collar TV show fans. You can thank Hi. He's been one of the original writers for that award-winning show series, Monk, starring Tony Shalhoub. And he's also a writer and consulting producer for season 2 on White Collar. That's one of my favorite shows. It's on the USA Network. You know, characters like Neil and Mozzie and Peter, the FBI agent.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with those guys.
Oh, my gosh. And you're also a mystery writer. One of the books, Rally Round the Corpse. That's a nice, catchy little title. I want all of you after the show to dash over to his website. It's very easy. It's his name, HyConrad.com. It's HYConrad.com. Hi, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's totally our pleasure. We're into our dogs now, and we've had schnauzers for like the past 25 years at least. We've had schnauzers, so we are totally dog people. We take them to the dog park every day, and they meet all their friends.
You got 2 mini schnauzers now, right?
We've always sort of had 2 minis. Their beings just changed throughout the years, but we like to keep it down to 2.
And what are the names?
We have Nelson, who is just a puppy, and I may be yelling, bad boy a few times, but that's not directed at you. And then Charlie's about 12, and so we kind of got Nelson to keep Charlie young.
My dog, Chipper, is a golden retriever husky, 60 pounds. And her boyfriend, I know Chipper's got a boy's name, but I like to golf. Chipper's boyfriend is Buddy across the street, a miniature, not so miniature schnauzer. And he's like, yeah. I think that means, I love you.
Or as they like to say, hey, hello.
So schnauzers are anything but shy, obviously.
One of our characters is a schnauzer, and named him Charlie after our Charlie.
All right. And next up, very patiently waiting in the wings, is Jeff Johnson. And he's got a PhD after his name, and I'm just thinking in the canine world, that probably means pretty happy dog. Is that right?
At one point, it meant psychologist. So if there, I guess, when we wrote the book together, Hy brought all of his humor experience from writing shows like Monk, and I guess I brought the psychological experience of not a pet psychologist, but understanding people and understanding how what people thought of their dogs. So we sort of approached it from 2 different perspectives, and that's what we ended up with.
That's a pretty good combo, though. You guys complementing your skills, that makes it pretty powerful, don't you think?
We brought completely different skill sets to it. Yeah. And that was great, which meant we really didn't argue too much about details because we really had 2 different points of view, and we were lucky enough we got to include both of them in the book. So,
all right.
There were little discussions like, would Axelrod know what linoleum is?
That's right. What would the dog call the floor? Would it know the difference between marble tile and linoleum? Well, not Axelrod. Axelrod wouldn't, of course. Not a yellow lab.
I think Bandana would, but let me finish with your little intro so people know how awesome you are. You're kind of a top dog in the ad world. You're a general manager of Kramer Grisalt. Is that pronounced right?
That's it. Yeah, in New York City.
Oh my, that's a big title. And you've also the author of The Hourglass Solution, A Boomer's Guide to the Rest of Your Life. And you know what? You have quite a nice online advice column. You team up with Paula Foreman, and it's called Short Answers. It's on the Huffington Post and a bunch of other places. And your pet connection is you're on the board of directors for the Florida Keys SPCA. In fact, you boys are both kind of down south in Florida, right?
We split our time between being up north in New York City and down south in Key West.
What a nice option.
Oh, I know. We're really lucky. We don't take anything for granted.
All right. Well, that's the guys we got on our show, and I want to get into the book right away. But first of all, how did you guys meet? Was it a magical moment looking across the room? How did you two different worlds?
We've been friends for over 30 years. So, and this book was, we had always wanted to get a chance to work together on a project. And when we got the idea for this, we thought it would be the perfect thing to do together.
So how did it spark? I mean, Jeff, when did you guys get together and say, man, we got to get into the dog's brain?
Well, I mean, obviously we've always been dog lovers. And I think one of the things that's always interested me is how people make things up about what their dogs are thinking. and they'll pretend that they know exactly, oh, my dog is telling me this. My dog is telling me it wants to go home. My dog is telling me that it wants to go to the neighbor's house. My dog is telling me, and of course people just made it up. They just completely make these things up, and it seemed interesting, well, how could we ever figure it out? And one night we were actually watching television together, and there was a whole string of commercials on for things like titles, things banks don't want you to know, the things the government doesn't want you to know, the things the FBI doesn't want you to know. And I think it was Hi who said, well, yeah, how about something really interesting, like things your dog doesn't want you to know?
Ding, 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 ding.
And it was true. It just, all of a sudden, it said, how much fun would that be to really write a book from the dog's perspective? And it started out, we really just started a little blog doing it, and pretty quickly it turned into a book. And as you'd mentioned, we did it from the perspective of 11 different dogs from kind of all walks of life. And I think anybody who reads it will probably have a favorite dog in this group.
Yeah,
And,
that's good.
So that's really how it started. It was just one of those ideas that comes to you when you're thinking about something else. And I will tell you, if I had a choice, I would prefer this book over things the banks don't want you to know. That's a little drier than this book is.
I mean, I'd eat a bowl of kibble before I'd read the book about the banks, but seriously.
Right.
Hey, Hi, come on in. You're ready
to have to emphasize that this is basically a humor book. If there was ever, a discussion between what's really going on and what would be funny, we always went to what would be funny. I think there's a kind of truth to that because none of us really know. I mean, there are all these books that tell you what your dog is thinking and that your dog is a member of the family or he's a pack animal or he's this or that. But, at the end of the day, no one really knows. They're like this universe to themselves, and I think that's what's terrific about dogs is that as close as they are to you, you have no clue about them.
No, I know. I wrote the Dog Behavior Answer book, and now I'm thinking, man, what a sham book I've written.
No, that's not what we meant.
I don't care. I can take it. I can take it. Just kidding.
It was also why we wrote from specifically 11 different dogs' perspective, because anyone who owns a dog knows that dogs truly have their own personalities. And so we have one dog in the book who absolutely loves costumes. Loves when his two owners dress him up in costumes, he's in heaven. Right. And we have one dog who just despises it and thinks it's ridiculous. And that's, I think, true because not all dogs like the same thing in any regard.
Right, I agree with that.
And even, there's one dog that eats constantly and tries every day to trick its two owners into believing that neither one has fed him. So
are you talking about Orson?
Yes, Orson. So
we got to say Orson like this, Orson.
Exactly.
And I think I apologize in the intro. I gave Orson Dimple's name by mistake. Pardon me, because Dimples is the boxer. So I had food on my mind, and my brain was full of dog food. So Orson is the
problem.
Dimples is the dog who is the mother who's giving advice on how to raise her kid.
Let's run down some of these guys because there's only 11. I mean, I would like Hi to maybe take the first 5 or so, and Jeff.
Sure.
Right, so here comes the announcing. Wait a minute, let me do the drum roll. Okay, that's it for our high tech here in the audience studio. Go for it.
All right. Well, we'll start with Axelrod, and Axelrod's a yellow lab. He is by far our dumbest dog. And his bio says he lives in the suburbs with his family and a yard with an impossibly high fence. He has graduated first in his private obedience class 3 times in a row.
Yikes.
So he just gets everything wrong. He's sort of stupid but lovable guy who loves you.
Okay.
And then next is Bandana the Border Collie. And, of course, like most Border Collies, bossy opinions about everything. Bandana, he runs the household. It couldn't go on without him. And so, he gives advice on how to run the household and, why it's normal for him to chase cars. And he has his little Napoleon complex going there.
Yeah, he's definitely type A, isn't he?
Yes, Dimples is very, very type A. He will, herd your children and just like any Border Collie. And the next is Dimples, who's a female boxer. She recently gave birth to Mutt Jr. and Runt, who are her two kids that she's a single mom. Junior and Runt are still living at home, and almost all of her columns are about, giving advice about puppies, how to stop them scratching, how to stop them doing this, how to stop them biting. And she's very much on her boys' side. She sides with the puppies on most of her advice.
Okay.
And let's see, and then there's Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's one of my favorites. It was always easy for us to write for Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is a Chihuahua, very, very spoiled. She lives in a mansion with Margot, and Margot's equally human daughter, Brianna. Tinkerbell can shed, but she prefers not to.
She's a purse my ride dog, too, isn't she?
Yes, she has quite a few shopping adventures as she is carried around in Margot's purse from store to store to store.
And the little Tic Tac episode, too.
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
all right, and next up?
Next up is Orson. Orson's a bulldog, and Orson's world revolves around food. He has two working mommies, and they indulge his obsession with food, and every adventure that Orson has is somehow related to foods, like, words that he understands, and, how to trick them into giving him more food, and sitting underneath the table at dinner every night. And he wrote, I think he has one column about exercise, but it's more about food than about exercise. So,
well, on your jacket cover of your guys' book, Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know, I love this from Orson. You know what? I want to eat and eat until my skin explodes. Then I'll be happy.
We have had dogs like that. I mean, they just, and I think technically it may even be possible to happen. I don't know, but Orson definitely wants to prove that theory.
Good thing he has a lot of skin flaps. He can hide a lot of food there.
It is true. I think that's why bulldogs have so many skin flaps, so they do not explode.
Yeah, and they probably are packing their, snack for the day in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to take the rest, Beth?
All right, Jeff?
Sure. The next dog is Sophie. Sophie's a Cocker Spaniel. She is
The oldest dog in the book. She has 18 kids of her own, and 168 grandchildren. God knows how many great-grandchildren she has had over the years. She has had the most stable life. She's been in the same home her whole life and has a lot of advice for younger dogs and future generations. And if we have any truly poignant moments in the book, and I think there are a few, they tend to be with Sophie, who is really sort of living out her twilight years and enjoying herself.
Yeah, she's sweet.
She's a very, very sweet dog, and a very wise dog. I mean,
the next dog is Sarge. Sarge is my personal favorite, actually, in the book. Sarge is a German Shepherd
and a working dog. Unfortunately, Sarge is always losing his job. He's always getting fired. He gets fired for some obvious reasons when he's a drug-sniffing dog at the airport. He gets fired from the junkyard because he's not able to attack the right people. He gets fired from his job as a hospital dog. So Sarge is really, really just looking for permanent work, and just through all sorts of unfortunate circumstances loses job after job after job. Then, of course, there's Charlie, who's the miniature schnauzer, and although Charlie is named after our dog, that's where the resemblance ends. Charlie is a foster dog, and unfortunately, Charlie just gets sent from foster home to foster home to foster home. And as an aside, I just know from my work at the SPCA that there are actually a lot of dogs like that. Even the purebred dogs, it's not always mixed breeds, even purebreds sometimes get fostered from home to home to home. So Charlie has those experiences along the way. So the next dog is the one you'd mentioned before, Moonbeam. Moonbeam's a mixed breed dog that lives with a New Age follower. And Moonbeam is probably one of our, I don't know if we'd call Moonbeam sarcastic, but Moonbeam does not understand this New Age stuff. Her owner's a vegan, thinks that Moonbeam should be a vegan. Of course, Moonbeam sneaks jerky treats, as you might imagine, does not understand the crystals and the incense and the mysticism and the Ouija board and all of that. So Moonbeam has a good time making fun of her owner. And, of course, she absolutely, absolutely hates her name. Then we have Gabby. Gabby is a long-haired dachshund. She's just reaching puberty at this point. She's at that very awkward age where she is really understanding and noticing boys, but what she doesn't get is why every now and then the boys just wildly fall in love with her. And she falls in love with them for a little while, and then it all disappears and she's back to normal again. So she's going through that very awkward girly stage, and she is very girly. She loves a bath, and she loves what she calls going to the spa. She loves going to the spa. And the last dog is Rufus. Rufus is a bloodhound, and Rufus is a country dog that has a young boy who's his owner. And unlike what you might think of as a country dog, Rufus's dream, his just wild dream in life, is Rufus wants to be a famous dog on Broadway or in the movies. And when his owners aren't there, Rufus plays the Broadway cast album to Annie over and over and over again, and tries to learn how to tap dance. And you know how sometimes when dogs are sleeping and wildly move their legs, people will say, oh, that dog is dreaming it's chasing a rabbit or running in the woods. Well, that's not Rufus. When Rufus wildly flings his legs about when he's sleeping, Rufus is dreaming about tap dancing on Broadway. So that's Rufus's dream.
I can just visualize a bloodhound in a tutu. That's just kind of what's popping in my head right now.
Well, you know, Rufus does... Bloodhounds are probably not natural tap dancers.
No, but that's okay. He's got big hopes and big dreams. Everybody, we're speaking with Conrad and Jeff Johnson. They are the authors of this really great book, Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know, 11 Courageous Canines Tell All. They're going to be actually autographing, I think, a couple of books, right? You guys good up to putting up a couple of books?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to announce that in the next Pet Life Radio e-newsletter and my newsletter, which is cleverly called Arden Moore Knows Pets. And we'll be able to get your paws on an autographed copy of this book. It's really awesome. I mean, possum. And we're going to talk more with Hi and Jeff after we take this quick commercial break. So everybody sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. All Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is John O'Hurley reminding you you're listening to the O Behave Show with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to O Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I am so happy to have Conrad and Jeff Johnson in the house. I haven't heard a single in the background.
Yes, they've been good boys. They're sitting right by my desk.
But let's talk a little bit. You know, you guys have this pet connection, and let's go with Jeff. Jeff, you are on the board of the Florida Keys SPCA.
That's it.
All right. What got you on that board? A lot of bribery biscuits or what? You know,
it simply was because there was such a need for pet care, even in the Florida Keys. People think of that as perhaps sort of a paradise that everyone can take care of their pet. But oddly, we get about 2,000 dogs and cats into the SPCA in Key West every year. Wow. And I think the economy has really hurt people so that a lot of them can't afford to take care of their pets, or they're moving into smaller places where they cannot have pets. And I think it's a national issue. It's certainly not just in the Florida Keys by any means. It's really a national crisis in some places where these pets are being abandoned and we need to do everything we can to help. So that's why I joined the board, because it's a need. And I encourage everybody across the country to do whatever they can for their SPCA. It's a great, great, great organization.
Yeah, I used to live in Florida. I was a reporter and editor at the Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale, and I used to go down and see the polydactyls and at Ernest Hemingway's house, the cats with all the 17 million paws. I think those cats are pretty well off, though. I think Ernie took good care of them.
They are well. Those are some that are well taken care of. These six-toed cats, yes.
Yeah, they're like, we don't even have thumbs. We don't even have to write a bestseller. We had Ernie in our back pocket. So, what's your pet connection? I mean, you've seemed to be surrounded your life always with dogs. And what's the attraction? And what do you hope this book will do for miniature schnauzers and other dogs everywhere?
Well, we've had miniature schnauzers for 25 years or so, and there's nothing special. I love dogs for the same reason that every dog owner does. I work at home a fair amount. I'm a writer. And, I used to bring them into the office at Monk, and they were like the house dogs. And Jeffrey started a policy at his advertising agency where, it's a dog-friendly environment now. And 5 or 6 people in his office bring their dogs in to work.
How did the star Tony feel about petting your dog? And as Monk, the character, he probably wouldn't go near it.
Well, Tony was on the set most of the time, and the writer's room was separate. In fact, the writer's room was on the East Coast, and the show was being filmed on the West Coast. But Tony would drop in a couple times a year and to go over storylines and talk to us. And the dogs were generally well behaved.
Generally?
No, he was generally, yes. We have one dog who's fairly needy, who will scratch you until you pet him. So
I've had dates like that. That's never fun. It's not going to happen again. Yeah, just thought it was.
Well, it's so sad. People in Key West, of course, wear shorts most of the time, and Charlie, the insistent dog, will scratch at people's legs when they come over. If you try to ignore him, he will scratch your leg until it starts to bleed.
Oh, my God. I'm wearing armor, air-conditioned armor when I come see you guys.
Yeah. Exactly. You've made me feel so guilty because I've been listening to your show, and it makes me feel like we have done a terrible job of disciplining our dogs, and that we need to be much more diligent because we all know it's about the owners. It's not about the dogs.
Jeff, the shrink, if I may, I've learned that it's really training the people, not the dogs. The dogs are pretty consistent. It's getting the people to come on board, but that's a tough nut sometimes.
It is, and it's consistency that's so. I mean, it was the same thing, obviously, in psychology with people. It's the consistency of the message. And, we see so many dog owners, but we sort of try to keep our mouths shut when people, not if they're abusing dogs, that's one thing, that's different. But if they're just being inconsistent or we have friends who try to rationally speak to their dogs and explain to them why not to chew the shoes. And, you just roll your eyes and say nothing.
Can't you see that, that, I forgot if it was a Gary Larson comic or it's the person's giving this big speech and the dog's hearing blah, 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 name, blah, 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 treat, blah, 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 no, blah, blah, blah. I mean, seriously, I think I would be the same.
Exactly.
Rod has a little column in which he talks about the words that he understands, and how it took him to understand what his name was. And he still doesn't understand what his nickname is.
I know, we give dogs kind of crazy nicknames sometimes. And, if you've got a dog like Axelrod, who's just barely grasping his own name, I mean, you could really confuse the canine with giving him other names, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And people don't understand that. They think that the dog will understand any variation that they might throw at it.
Axelrod finally figured out that the word Axelrod that's the sound you make when you're paying attention to me.
Give that dog a little bone. He's trying, That's so funny. We are speaking with Conrad and Jeff Johnson. They are the authors of a great book, Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know, 11 Courageous Canines Tell All. And they're going to be autographing not one, but two. And you're going to find out the details on the Pet Life Radio e-newsletter coming up and the Arden Moore Knows Pets e-newsletter. Before we leave, I just wanted to say, how in the heck did you get Steve Martin to give you a nice book blurb?
Steve and I wrote a TV show together. We wrote a pilot for a show for ABC that never got on the air. So we're kind of old friends, and he's been very supportive and very generous. And so, as usual, it's always a personal connection.
And he's a big dog lover.
Yeah. Does he have any dogs? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He has a dog named Roger. And actually, I think Roger's dead now, but that was his companion for years and years.
Well, that's good. I mean, the way ABC's going, I think they should revive your pitch.
Absolutely. Will you give them a call for us?
Yeah, I have such clout. I'm sure they're going to... Oh, Arden, she doesn't even need a last name. She's like Cher, Madonna. Yeah, Arden's on the... Oh, we better go. We got to take that call. Move over, Entourage. We have Arden on the line. Yeah, no problem. Hi, it's done.
Perfect. I knew this was going to be a good interview.
And you know what? Like I said, I haven't had any caffeine. I don't need it. I have you guys as guests. And before we leave, is there anything else you'd like to share? Because we do want people to go to the website. It's thingsyourdog.com. I like that because it kind of leaves you hanging. Thingsyourdog.com.
Well, the book is dedicated to the Florida Keys SPCA and to...
It's an open door shelter.
Yeah.
It's an open door shelter, which we think is very important. And the book is fun. I mean, I think the main thing that people will know is I think the art director did a phenomenal job. Dean, who himself has 8 dogs.
Okay. Let's do a shout out to Dean. Dean, pronounce his last name.
Stephanides.
I knew one of you guys could get it. Yes, his work is brilliant in here. I'm throwing my name in. I've written only 25 pet books because one of these days I'll get it right. But if you ever need a thing your cat doesn't want you to know, I'm the former editor of Catnip, and my house, I'm graciously allowed to stay in it thanks to Zeke and Murphy. So if you ever want to bubble up about cats, I can hiss and tell.
Excellent. Absolutely, we will come to you first for advice.
All right. Because I think that one would be really good.
Any of your listeners have questions about their own dog behavior? If they want a real answer, they have to go to you. If they want a funny answer, we'll be happy to send them a funny answer.
Yeah, because you do have a nice little blog going on the site, thingsyourdog.com. It's really great. And I do appreciate that. I thank you both. I wanted to give a big pause and applause to Conrad and Jeff Johnson. You guys, this show went a little bit over, but we just had too much to talk about. But I think you've hit on a brilliant book, Things Your Dog Doesn't Want You to Know, 11 Courageous Canines Tell All. I'm giving a hug to Moonbeam, hoping the name will get changed, and hoping Tinkerbell doesn't eat too many Tic Tacs in the purse. But there's just so many other things that I don't want to tell you about because I want to get you as curious as a cat and go out and get the book because you're going to help. And it's dedicated to the Florida Keys SPCA, a very, very worthy shelter organization. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. And at this time, I also want to thank my producer, Mark Winter. He makes this show happen each and every week. Old Behave is one of these shows on this network. It is the #1 pet radio network on the planet. And there's a reason for it because of Mark. So until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave!
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. This is the place for a special paparazzi treat. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.